Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Road Emulsion Association Limited here in the UK, which is the home of all the bitumen emulsion producers operating in the UK. My name is Kevin Moore. I'm the consultant and secretary of the association, and what I would like to do today is to run a few slides that will give you some history, background of the association, or what I call the road so far. I will then talk about some of the structure and the activities of the REA, some of the historical campaigns that we've been involved in, and the last couple of slides will be around a major campaign that the REA is launching together with the Road Surface Treatments Association, and we will be launching that this year in 2023. Now, firstly, the Road Emulsion Association Limited was formed in 1929. Before anybody asks the question, no, I wasn't there at the very first meeting. However, I was there in March 2023 this year at the 94th annual general meeting of the association. So you can see the association has a long history of supporting its members and those involved in the bitumen emulsion production here in the UK. The association has a chairperson that rotates every 2 years. This enables one of the senior member representatives to guide and lead the association for that duration. We're fortunate that all the UK producers are members of the Road Emulsion Association. Now, in the 1980s, that would have been approximately 12 members. However, as seen with many businesses, acquisitions and mergers reduced this to 6, and it was 6 for a number of years. In 2019, however, the membership increased to 7 when Eurovia opened a new facility here in the UK. Now, I mentioned activities, and the Road Emulsion Association, the REA, is involved in a number of activities in the UK, but one in particular I want to highlight, and that is very important to the association, and that is the collection of UK volume data. Now, this data is provided confidentially through to myself as the consultant and secretary, and I compile an industry quarterly report. This is important because it is the only means by which we as an industry can see and understand the influences and trends that cause our volumes to either improve or decline, and therefore collecting those volumes and reviewing those volumes are very important for the industry. It also helps the REA decide on where it needs to focus in terms of any campaigns, and you will see that later in this presentation. We collect volume data in 2 categories. The first one is cold emulsion, and that's either packaged or bulk. Packaged being joint paint, for example, bulk being bond coats or microsurfacing emulsions, and that represents about 1/3 of the UK production. The other category, hot emulsions, which are primarily used in surface dressings, represents the larger proportion of volumes in the UK, 2/3, between 65 and 70% of all the volumes produced in the UK. Now, the REA has 3 working committees. It has a council, and the council is responsible for leading and directing and deciding where the focus needs to be for the association. We have a strong technical committee, and they're involved in European standards, in British standards, developing specifications, and also the provision of technical guidance documents for the industry. We also have a Health, Safety and Environment Committee, and that committee meets during the year, and we also provide a quarterly report covering incidents and accidents and near misses in the industry. This enables us to share best practice and helps us to set new standards and improve standards of safety for procedures. Now, you see an example of the quarterly report I produce on the screen, and we have three categories where we collect the data. One is receipt of goods, another one is production, and the green one is loading, delivery and discharge. So purple, receipt of goods, production is orange, and delivery is green. We also capture, as you see in the chart below, the cause of any incident or accident, and in this instance we're showing that failure to follow procedure or human error and faulty equipment are the two categories that have where accidents or incidents have occurred. Now, I mentioned that we've had campaigns in the past. I've given you some examples here of the types of campaigns that we've done. We work quite closely with the Road Surface Treatments Association, the RSTA, because they are an association of contractors who apply emulsions and processes such as surface dressing and microsurfacing, and therefore are mainly the REA's members' customers. So we work very closely with them, as you can imagine, as they are in receipt of most of the products that we put into the marketplace. The first example is a HSE campaign that we had, whereby we produced a new safe working procedure for a process that involves the transfer of emulsion from a road tanker directly into a road sprayer. And this historically had involved the operator climbing on top of the road sprayer whilst the operation of transfer was being undertaken. The new standard, which we introduced in 2019 and developed with the RSTA, ensures that during the transfer process, both operator and delivery drivers are at ground level. We're also developing currently another standard procedure with the RSTA, which is for the safe delivery and transfer of product from a delivery tanker to a receiving tanker, and this is again primarily in the microsurfacing type operation. The REA has launched a bond coat campaign previously in 2018, developed an animated video which was widely distributed across our industry, showing the benefits and the importance of bonding asphalt roads together. This was well received across the national highways in England, across the devolved governments of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, where the senior engineers sent back some very positive feedback on the importance of this particular procedure and product. We also produced an animated video showing the benefits of surface dressing, and this was done in 2019. And again, that was widely distributed amongst highway engineers in the UK and well received. However, I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation that I would towards the end focus on a major campaign that the REA, again together with the RSTA, are involved with this year. The major campaign is to inform the client, the people who decide how to allocate funding in terms of highway maintenance. And the aim of the campaign is to highlight that the UK has moved from a preventative, planned maintenance programme type approach to highway maintenance into a reactive, repairing the road as it's deteriorating type of response. In the UK, and one of the main drivers for the campaign, since 2012 through to 2022, we have seen a 44% reduction in the application of surface dressing here in the UK. Not surprisingly, and of no coincidence in our view, we've seen the cost of pothole repairs increase significantly over the same period. I mentioned that reactive maintenance is now the standard way in the UK. It is difficult for engineers to try to finance roads with a surface treatment that do not appear to be falling apart. However, by the time they are falling apart, as we all know, it's too late for many to be applied with surface dressing or other forms of surface treatment. The campaign is also highlighting the carbon footprint benefits of using planned preventative maintenance schemes, and particularly surface dressing, not only in the low carbon cost of applying the surface dressing, but also in the low carbon cost over the life of the surface dressing and therefore the life of the road. Modern techniques make surface dressings more durable. This extends the life of surface dressing. By extending the life of surface dressing, we are of course improving the cost benefits of maintaining our road network. Improvements such as virtually all bitumen emulsions and surface dressings now in the UK use polymer modified emulsions. This improves performance, enhances the flexibility, and as we mentioned before, makes the treatment more durable. We're also seeing innovative techniques like encapsulation, whereby the surface dressing is oversprayed, as you can see on the image that is on the slide. This reduces aggregate loss and produces an asphalt-like finish, but at a fraction of the cost of resurfacing. Now in the UK, each year there is an alarm survey. This survey is completed by highway engineers, and it is compiled by the Asphalt Industry Alliance. In this year's report, it states that standard roads, these are roads that are non-motorway or trunk roads, but standard roads represent the vast majority of the highway network in the UK, they get resurfaced with asphalt once every 70 years. Now, on the basis that a normal asphalt surfacing would have a life of approximately 15 years, it can only be with the application of surface treatments like surface dressing that we can achieve a 70-year life in a road. And in many instances, more than one application of surface dressing is needed in order to achieve this length of life. Now the campaign launch, which will be June of this year, of 2023, as I mentioned, is aimed at informing clients, informing decision makers of the importance of planned preventative maintenance and the use of surface dressing. We're not expecting an overnight reversal to the current downward spiral, an increasing reactive maintenance being used to repair potholes, and a return instead of a planned approach that enables the road to be treated before it is too late. But we will push forward with the campaign. You can see that with almost half the amount of surface dressing being applied now compared to 10 years ago, it is a necessity for us as an industry to inform and make aware to those clients who make those decisions how important surface dressing is. So, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this presentation. I hope you found it interesting. This is Kevin Moore again, and I would like to thank you and say I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you again.